Hey guys, welcome to a new Fortnite experiment. In this one I'm gonna see if it's possible to beat my friend who is allowed to drive vehicles in a race across the map. So we're gonna start at the bottom right of the map, and then whoever reaches a point on the top left first will win the race. Now here's where things become interesting. My friend is allowed to use any type of vehicle with the exception of a chopper, and he is not allowed to use rifts or impulse grenades and stuff like that. I, on the other hand, am not allowed to be even close to a vehicle, so I cannot use cars, I cannot use boats, I'm not allowed to use the rift, and I'm also not allowed to use the launchers at the Sentinel graveyard. And now you may be thinking, well, what's the point of this experiment if you're going to be so disadvantaged? What I didn't mention yet is that I'm allowed to use certain type of consumables, such as fish or the peppers. And now we also have peppermints from the Fortnite Mythbusters event. I'm not really sure if those are gonna stack, but I've seen some comments on my previous video where I tested to see if I could run faster than a vehicle. So I figured, hey, you know, I'm just gonna give it a try and I'll add it into the mix. And I've also seen some comments from people that said hop floppers make you run a little bit faster, so I added those to my inventory as well. Alright, so as you've seen already, the first thing that I did is actually try to make my character look like the Flash. The last time I tried this as well, and it ended up looking like the reverse Flash. So I tried a bit harder this time. Feel free to give it a 1 out of 10 in the comments. After that, it was time to do some prep on the map. I told my friend that he could position all of his vehicles and scout his potential routes a little bit so that he knew where to go and where he wanted to switch vehicles. For example, start off in a motorboat and then have a Stark Industries car parked somewhere on the road in Misty Meadows. And for me, it was just collecting a whole bunch of consumables. So I started off with the peppers. The first couple of times that I entered Battle Lab, I couldn't find any of them, so I just left the match and found a new one until I went to Caddy Corner and I immediately got a stack of 6. I also needed some peppermints, but I could easily find those at the witch shacks. Then it was time to get Wolverine's claws. I've seen people say that you also run faster using Black Panther's ability, and they were asking why I didn't have those in my inventory. Well, if I have them in my inventory and I don't equip them, then it's not going to give me any added bonus. And I think that Wolverine either runs just as fast or faster even, because Black Panther first needs to be triggered and Wolverine is just a continuous speed boost. So I went ahead and found Wolverine, I died to Wolverine, found Wolverine again, and got myself the claws. And after that there was only one thing left to do, and that was to collect a whole bunch of spicy fish and hop floppers. Unfortunately, you could only keep 3 of those in your inventory. So what I did was I collected a whole bunch of them. I then tested out to see if the hop floppers indeed make me go faster, which they do. And then I started scouting my route a little bit, so I figured the best way to go about this was to cross via the ruins. And so I left myself a stack of 3 spicy fish and 3 hop floppers, because by the time that I ran out of them, I could easily refill them and continue on my journey. And that is all of the prep completed. We made our way over to the start spot, and the only rule that I still had to enforce was that my friend was not allowed to start in a vehicle. So he could basically park his motorboat right next to him in the water, but he had to stand next to me when we did the countdown. Now in return, I was not allowed to consume any of the fish or the peppers that I already had in my inventory. I had to wait until we did the countdown, and that is the start signal for me to start prepping and then just kind of speed off. And with all of that out of the way, it was time to start the race. I did a nice little countdown from 3 to 1, and when I said go, we were allowed to, you know, make our way to the finish line. We started off at the pier of Camp Cod, and then the lighthouse, I think there's a nice little beach on the backside. That was the finish line. I wasn't able to open my map in Battle Lab for some reason, so I couldn't really figure out if I was in the lead or not. Eventually the marker which indicated his name just disappeared, and for me that was the point where I was like, okay, well, I'm just gonna keep on running and I'll see what happens afterwards. The nice thing about the editing is that now when I'm doing the voiceover, I can actually see my friend's perspective as well, so that's pretty cool. The first part wasn't all that difficult. Like, I consumed my fish and the pepper and stuff and I started running. But I noticed that when I was using the hop flopper, I was able to go a lot faster than just staying on the ground and running. For some reason, that wasn't really that effective. As I stood still to use my second set of consumables, he drove off like right in front of me, and I didn't agree to anything in the rules that we weren't allowed to, you know, sabotage each other. But fortunately, he just kind of left me in peace and I could continue on my journey. I started thinking that using the hop flopper, it would make me go so much faster in water. And once I reached like the lake next to Lazy Lake, or the part that's between Lazy Lake and Misty Meadows, I noticed that that was such an improvement. So I figured I'm gonna go on top of the mountain here at Lazy Lake, and then I'll go in the water and I'll use that to reach the ruins. And some of my friends was kind of going over grass and then into Misty Meadows. And this is the part where I got like a significant lead, because I could see his marker slowly disappearing on my left side, which was awesome. Now once I reached Lazy Lake, before I jumped into the water, I consumed my last set of spicy fish and hop floppers, because I was not gonna be influenced by the current anymore, and I figured if I'm just gonna keep swimming now, then I should be able to reach the stack that I dropped at the ruins. And so I did. I think that if he would be in a vehicle next to me, I would still end up going faster, and this is also the part where I got pretty confident and I was like, hey, you know, I don't know about you, but I'm already halfway, so I'm just gonna go ahead and grab the remaining set of consumables that I need, and then I'm gonna continue onwards. Little did I know is that he switched his car. He kind of ditched it and he took his motorboat to cross the lake as well. And then he had a freaking Stark Whiplash all set and ready to go. I made my way over to the ruins, I grabbed my fish that I dropped off, and I consumed another pepper and a peppermint. Also, I'm not really sure if the peppermint actually adds another stackable effect. I think it just replaces one of the peppers or the spicy fish that I already consumed, because I didn't feel like I was going that much faster with the peppermint than I was in the previous episode. But yeah, now that I'm editing and I'm looking at my friend's perspective, the amount of time that it takes him to go from Weeping Woods through Salty Springs and then over the bridge almost nearing Doom's Domain is insane. Like, I thought that I was going fast, and then I saw the Stark Whiplash just blasting away. I was like, okay, this might be like a little bit too close for comfort. I think that this is where I made a slight wrong judgment call. I got on the land and I figured, oh, I can cross through Doom's Domain. But if I stayed in the water and kind of ended up at Sweaty Sands, it would probably have saved me maybe 15 to 20 seconds. Because like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, it's still quite fast when I'm jumping over land, but swimming, it just goes so much faster. And when I first got into the water, I managed to get myself such a lead that I didn't have to give that away by trying to cross through Doom's Domain. Unfortunately, the trash talk that I had in the beginning was now coming back to me, because as I was ready to go back into the water, my friend was like, so, where are you at? Because I only have 70 meters to go. I was like, oh, that really sucks. And then he was like, hey, so, I'm here, where are you at? And this is where I knew I lost the race. I have to say that it wasn't that bad. I think that I could have lost worse. And if we put the marker maybe a bit more on the left at the shark, then he could have just parked a motorboat there, so I don't think that would have made much of a difference. The only thing that I think that I did wrong was not going via the water, but instead going over land and trying to cross through Doom's Domain. But yeah, as I was doing my final stretch, he was already waiting for me, and I kind of ran out of consumables as well, so I figured, okay, well, even though I lost, I still think that I was a pretty good contestant. I'm not sure if there's any way for me to walk even faster, like I know you can do a glitch with Iron Man's repulsors and crash pads and stuff, but I wanted to see what would happen if I would just, you know, use the normal mechanics of the game, such as swimming and running. I think that there was a little glitch in the recording somewhere, because we started up at exactly the same time, but when I got to his car, via his perspective, I was still a bit behind, so I was like, huh, that is a bit odd. Anyway, that's gonna be the experiment for today. If there's anything you would like me to try, you can leave it in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching, feel free to subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you at the next one. Peace!